My neighbor Karen's tulips were my Vietnam. She'd scream about my dog's shadow crossing her lawn like it was a war crime. It was 6 p.m. when her lawyer slapped me with a lawsuit $50,000 emotional distress over a flower bed I didn't touch. I laughed it off, thinking it was her usual suburban tyranny, but that night, I learned Karen wasn't just a Karen. She was a vendetta with a homeowners association badge and a hit squad. The first sign of trouble was the black SUV idling across the street. My wife, Lena, a retired Green Beret who could bench press me and still make pancakes, noticed it first. "Babe, lock the doors," she said, her voice calm but sharp, like a blade sliding from its sheath. I thought she was overreacting until the backyard motion lights blazed on, and 3 men in tactical gear vaulted our fence, their boots crushing my azaleas. They weren't here to talk about property lines. They had zip ties, duct tape, and rifles slung low. "Lena, call 911. I yelped, fumbling for my phone. She didn't move. Her eyes narrowed, scanning the intruders like a predator sizing up prey. "No time," she muttered, grabbing a garden shovel from the patio. I'd seen Lena spar in the garage, but this was different. This was war, and our backyard was the battlefield. The lead thug barked, on the ground, now. His voice was muffled behind a balaclava, but the threat was clear. They wanted me probably to scare me into settling Karen's lawsuit. My heart jackhammered. I dropped to my knees, hands up, babbling apologies for flowers I didn't kill. Lena, though. She didn't kneel. She stepped forward, shovel in hand, and said, "You picked the wrong house." What happened next was a blur of violence and grace. Lena moved like lightning, closing the gap before the first guy could raise his rifle. The shovel cracked against his knee, and he crumpled, screaming. The second thug swung his weapon, but Lena was already inside his reach, slamming the shovel's handle into his jaw. He dropped like a sack of mulch. The third guy hesitated just long enough for Lena to hurl the shovel like a javelin, catching him square in the chest. He staggered, tripped over a lawn chair, and hit the ground hard. 3 minutes. That's all it took for Lena to turn Karen's hired muscle into a pile of regrets. I stood there, mouth open, as Lena dusted off her hands. "You okay?" she asked, like she'd just swatted a fly. I nodded, still processing the carnage. Our backyard looked like a war zone: smashed planters, a shattered window, and Karen's tulips trampled beyond salvation. The irony wasn't lost on me. Her lawsuit was about flowers, and now her goons had destroyed them. But this wasn't over. Lena dragged one of the thugs to the porch light, yanking off his balaclava. "Who sent you?" she demanded. He groaned, spitting blood, but didn't answer. Lena pressed her boot to his chest, just enough to make him wince. "Talk, or I start breaking things." He caved, mumbling about a Karen from the HOA who'd hired them through a shady fixer. They were supposed to teach me a lesson and make it look like a robbery gone wrong. Rage boiled in my chest. Karen. That flower-obsessed, power-tripping harpy had escalated from passive-aggressive notes to attempted kidnapping. I wanted to storm her house, but Lena stopped me. "We do this smart," she said. "Get evidence. End her." She was right. Karen wasn't just a bully, she was dangerous, and we needed to hit back harder. We tied up the thugs with their own zip ties and called the cops. While we waited, Lena and I dug through their gear. One had a burner phone with texts from an unknown number, "Make it quick. No witnesses." Another had a printed email from Karen's HOA account, detailing my violations, and a cryptic line, "Handle him permanently." It was sloppy, but it was enough to nail her. Karen had underestimated us, and that was her first mistake. The police arrived, lights flashing, and hauled the goons away. I gave them the evidence, but Karen was already covering her tracks. By morning, she'd lawyered up, claiming she'd been hacked and had no idea about any attack. The HOA backed her, of course they were her personal fan club. Social media exploded, with half the neighborhood calling me a liar and the other half cheering Lena's heroics. Karen played the victim, posting tearful videos about her ruined tulips and how I'd terrorized her. It was infuriating, but Lena stayed calm. "She's digging her own grave," she said. "Let's help her." Our counterattack was surgical. Lena's old military contacts traced the burner phone to a local fixer known for dirty jobs. We leaned on him well, Lena did, with a look that could melt steel, and he spilled everything. Karen had paid $10,000 to solve her problem with me, using HOA funds she'd siphoned off for landscaping. We recorded his confession, along with screenshots of her bank transfers. Then we went public. I posted the evidence on X, tagging every local news outlet and the HOA board. The hashtag KarenGate went viral by lunch. Karen's empire crumbled fast. The HOA fired her, the police reopened the case, and her neighbors turned on her. Her tulip garden, once her pride and joy, was vandalized by kids who'd seen the posts. She tried to flee town, but the cops caught her at the airport with a suitcase full of cash. The look on her face when they cuffed her pure, delicious panic was almost worth the trauma. Almost. Because the truth is, this fight cost us. Our home was trashed, my nerves were shot, and Lena, for all her strength, carried new shadows in her eyes. She'd fought for me, but I saw the toll it took, memories of battles she'd left behind, dragged back by Karen's insanity. We won, but victory felt hollow. Karen's arrest was the neighborhood Super Bowl. News vans camped outside her house, cameras zooming in on her trampled tulips like they were crime scene evidence. The HOA scrambled to distance itself, issuing a statement about rogue members and zero tolerance for misconduct. Nobody bought it. X was a wildfire of memes. Karen's teary video remixed with action movie soundtracks, captioned, "Tulip Tyrant Takedown." Lena and I watched it unfold from our couch, her arm around me, both of us too exhausted to laugh. But the victory was bittersweet. Our backyard was a wreck: broken fences, shattered pots, and a shed half burned from a stray flashbang. Insurance wouldn't cover it, they called it an act of vendetta. Lena spent days cleaning up, her jaw tight, saying little. I caught her staring at the shovel, now dented and propped against the wall like a trophy she didn't want. "I thought I was done with this," she whispered one night, her voice raw. She meant the violence, the adrenaline, the ghosts of her past. I held her, guilt gnawing at me. I'd laughed off Karen's threats, and Lena had paid the price. We rebuilt, slowly. Neighbors dropped by with casseroles and apologies, some admitting they'd feared Karen's wrath too. One brought us new azalea seedlings, a small gesture that felt like healing. Lena planted them herself, her hands steady in the dirt. But the scars lingered. Our home felt less safe, our trust in the community fractured. Karen's trial was swift, she pleaded guilty to conspiracy and embezzlement, sentenced to 5 years. Her house went up for sale, tulips and all, but no one bid. It sat empty, a monument to her downfall. I started a blog, chronicling the saga. It wasn't just about Karen, it was about standing up to bullies, about the quiet strength of people like Lena who fight when no one else will. The posts went viral, and soon we were invited to speak at a community safety seminar. Lena hesitated but agreed, her voice steady as she told our story. The crowd gave her a standing ovation, and for the first time in weeks, I saw her smile. Yet the ending wasn't tidy. We'd won, but at what cost? Our home was patched up, but the memories of that night clung like damp rot. Lena was my hero, but heroes bleed too. We learned to live with it, to find joy in small things: new flowers, quiet evenings, each other. Karen's war taught us that peace isn't free, and sometimes, the real fight is holding on to what matters.